Well, good evening and welcome to show 21 of Folk Beeston. And this, I'm sure, as you know, is the last in our series. We'll be back in the autumn, but, it might be a changed format. So for this special occasion, we have, for the first and probably last time, all four of the production team here with us on screen. And I'm Colin Tucker. We've got Andy Cooper, we've got Steve Benford, and we've got a muted Mick Pierce, because Mick Pierce has got a bit of a problem with the sound there, so I don't think he's actually going to contribute. But he's here in spirit, and he's here on the screen as well. And we've had a great time putting all these shows together. But Andy, last week's particularly was something special, wasn't it?
It was, and even Anne commented it was her favourite show, and it was just a great set of performances. And with guests, we had Steve Benford, who was doing Michael in the Garden, which was a really psychedelic version of one of my favourite Ralph McTell songs. And then we finished off with Knots Alliance, tremendous close harmony singing. So that really brought the show to a go. But we also finished with a concert by Gillian Bernard Blackwell, which Steve will talk about.
Yeah, I thought that was an absolute gem, wasn't it? I mean, it was a privilege to be in the garden when they played and to be able to record it. And I love the music. And I was gobsmacked by how they could play that like that in one live take. I mean, they just came in, set up, played, spoke to us all, and it was flawless. It was really lovely.
Yeah, a model for everyone, isn't it?
And that's available, isn't it, Andy, on our YouTube channel as a single concert, a single piece, and people can go and watch it. I'd just make the point that it was specially recorded by them, a lot of effort, as Steve said, for the Vox Jam special and the whole cause that was supporting. So if you want to go over and look at it, you're very welcome to do so on our Folk Beeston YouTube channel. But if you hadn't already bought a ticket for that festival or contributed, it'd be lovely if you felt able to add a little bit to the pot at the Vox Jam 2020 Just Giving page.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll add to that. I mean, we're all a bit in the recovery position today, but a massive shout out to Folk Beeston for fantastic support for the festival in all ways. Really, you've been brilliant, contributing some wonderful videos, live sets as well from club regulars, turning up in the audience. I'm sure giving lots of money as well. So well done, Folk Beeston. You absolutely caught to it. Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, let's go into this week's programme, which will be equally as good. And we're starting off with a fellow coordinator of the Folk Club, John Chambers, who's doing a couple of his favourites and our favourites, Drunken Sailor and Bonnie Ship the Diamond. And then Dave Field, who's bringing in his instrument to play in his normally unaccompanied stance with a Christy Moore song. And then Jim Dunn, who is always good for a laugh, is talking about 50 years of marriage strife, when probably not his own marriage, I hope.
Well, we hope not.
And one of our very first guests on the show was Dave Collins, who has attended the club on a few occasions, and he's doing one that we all know based on a local meadow. Then we're going to have a feature spot where all four of us are going to reminisce about some of our highlights from past shows. And then Hugh Miller, who's steadily increased his video ambitions throughout the show with some really good singing. But this time he tops it all with a fantastic song, a hymn really, called Everlasting Arms. And then we've got Helen Morris doing a solo slot. Chris is in the background there doing the recording, and that's about Patience Kershaw, a historical figure, which is a great song.
Yeah, I've heard her do that in the club.
And for the first time on the show, one of our club regulars has eventually made it. That's Joe Sanderson, and he's doing a song that you'll all know by Roger Whittaker, and and he's.
I think Dave McGowan's accompanying him, isn't he? But
he certainly is. Yeah.
It's great to have Joe finally make it, because he's a very regular, almost weekly performer at the physical club. So it's great that we've got him now on our pre-recorded show.
And to make up for lost time, we've got another clip of him in the outtakes where he shows us how to present himself.
Or not. Or not.
I hope it's not going to upset him.
No, I'm sure it won't. He's got a good
And
sense of humor.
then we've got two guests in our final spot. One comes from Cincinnati in the US, and he contacted us 2 weeks ago, having seen the show in America, and said, "Can I sing a song?" And we had a listen first and said, "Yes, please do," because he's a brilliant performer.
And Andy, you and I have had a chat with him, and he's a fascinating chap as well. Very interesting history, well travelled.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope that we think he's coming back to the UK, or coming to the UK relatively soon, perhaps in the autumn, and we hope we might even catch up with him again. I think when you see the video, you'll appreciate that. Yes, we'd like to.
Yeah. And a final guest, and it could only be the one and only Phil Langran Band, who also performed on one of the early shows. So they're going to sing us out with one of their new songs, which is really good, really good. Okay, so it's over to you, John. Let's get the show on the road.
Hi everyone, 2 nautical songs for the price of 1, both in the key of B minor, which for me is A minor on the 2nd fret. You'll know them both. Thanks for joining in, and for those who can, play along. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor early in the morning? Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Put him in the scuppers with the hosepipe on him. Put him in the scuppers with the hosepipe on him. Put him in the scuppers with the hosepipe on him early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Jane. The Diamond is a ship, my lass, for the Davis Strait she's bound, and the key it is on ferry ship with bonny lasses round. Captain Thompson gives the orders to sail the ocean wide, where the sun it never sets, my lass, nor darkness fills the sky. And this cheer up, my lass, let your hearts never fail, while the bonny ship, the Diamond, goes a fishing for the whale, a fishing for the whale. Along the quay at Peterhead, the lasses gather round, with the shawls all pulled about them and the salt is running down. Don't you weep, my bonny wee lass, though you'll be left behind, for the rose will bloom on Greenland's ice before we change our mind. And it's cheer up, you lads, let your hearts never fail, while the bonny ship, the Diamond, goes a fishing for the whale, a fishing for the whale. Here's a health to the Resolution, likewise the Eliza Swan. Here's a health to the Battle of Old Montrose, with the Diamond ship of fame. We'll wear the trousers of the white and the jackets of the blue, and when we return to Peterhead, we'll have sweethearts and you. And it's cheer up, my lads, let your hearts never fail, while the bonny ship, the Diamond, goes a fishing for the whale, a fishing for the whale. It's a river I go day and night, when the Greenland lass come home, with a ship that's full of oil, my lads, and money to our name. We'll make the cradles for to rock, and the blankets for to dare, and every lass in Peterhead sing Hush-a-bye, my dear. And it's cheer up, my lads, let your hearts never fail, While the boy shipped the diamond gold, fishing for the whale, a fishing for the whale. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. Early in the morning, hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Early in the morning, early in the morning. I hope you join in with gusto and you played along if you could. Take care, enjoy the show, I'm sure you will. Bye for now.
Evening again, everybody. This is a song that I first came across from the singing of a group by the name of Planksty. And it clearly became popular over the years because their lead singer, Christy Moore, still does it in concert. I understand that it has origins in the biblical legend, that of Jesus and Mary at the well. But in any case, the words will have changed considerably over the years. This is The Well Below the Valley. A gentleman was passing by, he asked for a drink as he was dry at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. My cup is full up to the brim, if I were to stoop I might fall in at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. If your true love was passing by, you'd fill him a drink as he was dry at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. She swore by grass, she swore by corn, her true love had never been born at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. He said to her, you're swearing wrong, 6 fine children you've had born at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me the father of them at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. There's 2 of them by your brother John at the well below the valley, oh. 2 of them by your uncle Dunn at the well below the valley, oh. 2 of them by your father dear at the well below the valley, oh. Green grow the rushes, oh, right among the bushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me what happened to them at the well below the valley, oh. Green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. There's 2 of them buried beneath the stone at the well below the valley, oh. 2 of them buried beneath the tree at the well below the valley, oh. 2 of them by the graveyard wall at the well below the valley, oh. Green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh. You'll be 7 years a ringing the bell at the well below the valley, oh. And 7 years a burning in hell at the well below the valley, oh. I'll be 7 years a ringing the bell, but the Lord above may save my soul from burning in hell at the well below the valley, oh. Green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh.
Hello, I'm Anne Sempik, and this evening I'm talking to Jim Dunn. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Anne, again, because we're meeting quite regularly on this format, aren't we? So
we are indeed, yeah. We'll have to make sure we keep it a secret. So I'm talking to you tonight about your song 50 Years of Married Strife, which anybody who's been married for, I don't know, getting on for 30, 40 years can probably relate to. But tell me a bit about the song.
Right, yeah, it came out, it sort of came, that actually those words, 50 years of marriage strife, came into my head, and I was thinking about ghost stories and stuff at the time for some reason. I can't really recall how it happened, but it all evolved from that. And I thought, if you've been married a long time, and you, I've been reading about out of body experiences and stuff like this, thought, if you sort of wake up in the morning and get out of bed, but in actual fact, you're dead, and then you kind of reflect back through, what your life's been like. It sort of it came from that. So it's meant to be a humorous, but at the same time, reasonably poignant thing. It's a ghostly love story that evolved just from those words, 50 years of marriage strife, really.
That sounds lovely, Jim. And how long ago did you write it?
How long ago? Quite a few years, I think. I don't know really.
I'm not sure.
Quite a while back.
I've heard quite a few of your songs over the years at Ox Jam and various places, but I don't think I've heard this one. So I'm really looking forward to hearing it.
Right. Okay. I often when I go on my Sunday morning walk down the canal to Nottingham and come back on the tram, often something will come into my head and I'll make a note of it. That's why I tend to have a pen in my top pocket, and it things evolve from that, Yeah. So anyway, yes. I hope you enjoy the song. It's all done in the best possible taste.
All the best possible taste. Well, it's over to you then, Jim. Thanks very much for speaking to me today.
That's smashing. Okay, thank you very much indeed for interviewing me.
Thanks, Jim. Bye.
Bye. Sid woke up this morning and he got out of bed, but he left his old body behind. He looked at himself as he lay there quite dead, at his body so pale, cold and blind. Well, I never, he said, it's the end of me life. I'm as dead as a dodo, I see. It's the end of those regular rows with me wife. I bet you'll be jumping with glee. She gave me 50 years of marriage strife, 50 years with a warring wife, 50 years of rows and fights, stormy days and loveless nights. Before they were married, their love was sincere. They wanted their lives to be blended. They married in honeymoon near Brighton Pier. It was there their true happiness ended. They started to quarrel as young lovers do. It all just developed from there. They bickered and fought like the chimps in the zoo. They forgot how to love and to care. It was 50 years of marriage strife, 50 years with a warring wife, 50 years of rows and fights, stormy days and loveless nights. Sid just couldn't wait for his wife to come in to bring him his warm morning drink. Course you'll be delighted, he thought with a grin, to see me so pale and extinct. But to his surprise, as she came through the door, she fell on the bed and she cried, "Oh, my darling, my Sid, I loved you so much. Why didn't I say you died? I gave you 50 years of marriage strife, 50 years with a warring wife, 50 years of rows and fights, stormy days and loveless nights." Ghostly arms fell about her, Sid knew she could see, and he stroked her white hair and he said, "I wanted to tell you that I love you too, dear, but I was too busy rowing instead." Then she smiled as she watched as his ghost disappeared to the place where the dead souls go. And both she and his ghost felt all vitriol cleared, for they knew they'd loved each other so. No more 50 years of married strife, 50 years with a warring wife, 50 years of rows and fights, stormy days and loveless nights. A ghostly love story.
Well, Andy, what we got next? We got Dave Collins, haven't we?
Yeah, we got Dave Collins. Absolutely, Dave Collins, who's been down the club several times. Tremendous entertainment.
Yeah, and he can't join us because he's celebrating a wedding anniversary, which
That's
is
right, in Norfolk.
Reasonable excuse, I think, don't you?
And before that, I mean, he's been plagued with toothache, I gather, and
no,
not able to find a dentist. But hopefully, he's done something about that now.
Yeah.
And when he emailed the other day, he didn't mention it, so I assume he's.
But anyway, we're kind of introducing his song, which is one that'll be familiar with local folk singers and folk club audiences, I think, because it's about an area of Nottinghamshire, and it's got a lovely feel to it. And he does tend to write songs that are kind of locally based, doesn't he?
Yeah, and they're very lively and bouncy and fill you with good cheer, which is what this one's going to do for us, really. It's a great one.
I'm sure it is.
Show
I think it's
a
bit of a chorus, isn't it, as well, I think.
Yeah.
So do feel free to join in.
Okay, over to you then, Dave.
Yeah.
It's a paradise for all down the meadows, where the little songbirds call down the meadows. There's no sickness and disease, you can live the life you please, but the policemen walk in threes down the meadows, down the meadows. Yes, the policemen walk in threes down the meadows. And they grow the finest grass down the meadows. You can scent it as you pass down the meadows. People say it's just a weed, but the secret's in the seed. They treat it very well indeed. Down the meadows, treat it very well indeed. Down the meadows. There are many scenic charms down the meadows, all equipped with loud alarms down the meadows. Go a cycle ride or hike, take a picnic if you like, but be sure to chain your bike down the meadows, down the meadows. Yes, be sure to chain your bike down the meadows. You will never walk alone down the meadows, with your credit cards and phone down the meadows. As you wander on your way, someone's bound to stop and say, what can we do you for today? Down the meadows, can we do you for today? Down the meadows. I may never sing this song down the meadows, just in case they take it wrong down the meadows. Though they're generous and kind, when I got home the wife might find I'd left important bits behind. Down the meadows, left important bits behind. Down the meadows. Thank you very much.
Hello, it's the feature. And what we've got lined up for you this week is some quite amusing outtakes. But before we get there, we're going to be a bit self-indulgent and we're going to reminisce about the things we've seen over the last few months and the aspects of putting this thing together and developing it that have occurred to us and stood out. And the thing, first of all, for me, that stood out was what we came to know as the Doors Open sequences, which is a series of slides with some music. And originally that was intended to give people a marker so they knew when they found the watch party, which was not always easy, certainly in the beginning, that they could see on screen and hear some music that they recognised and felt satisfied they'd reached the right place. And I was putting those together eventually, and was privileged to listen to the music. And at first, I think the first one we used was some stuff that Steve there had already recorded and he let us use. And then we got Alistair Bloomfield in playing some fiddle music. And then it just seemed to snowball from there. And lots of people contributed, sometimes with stuff they'd already performed and recorded, but also new stuff. Some of our regulars, people like Keith Hinchliffe and the lovely harpist, Issa Russell, but also, and I must say it because two of you here were involved, that wonderful Playford stuff that was 4 of our regulars who had never performed in the real world together, and they put together about 25 minutes worth of music from the Playford collection. So well done to Mick and Andy, and of course Elaine and Paul for doing that. And that was one of the aspects of the club that stood out for me. And all that music, of course, is there on our YouTube channel if you want to go and listen to it again, or stuff you didn't hear in the first place, maybe. But Steve, what's been the standout for you about the club?
Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing members interview each other, and that was something that seemed to evolve during the process. You know, it was kind of good to hear a range of voices on the club, but also hear things about people and stories, and by the end, kind of histories of folk music and people's journeys that I think you don't normally get to hear in a folk club. Sometimes it's lovely to meet in person, but you do a lot of small talk maybe. But here, I think people were talking to each other, and it felt very personal, felt very human. I really like that.
Great, thank you, Mick. What about yourself? I think you're going to unmute and we apologise in advance for the sound quality.
Two things I liked. I did like the chat sections, especially the introduction to the show by the smashy and nicey of Beeston, Colin and Andy there, who introduced it. And the other thing I really liked was the way the comments were used during the watch party itself, the interaction between people in the comments. At the very beginning, I wasn't sure that a Facebook watch party was going to be the way to go, that it would attract an audience. But in fact, it's kept a strong audience throughout. And it's always had the interaction and the comments between people as the show went on.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. Andy, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was, I suppose, the engagement with both all our regulars and the guests, speaking to them, getting them going, and to see the improvements that took, well, both the worry and the strain, but the actual improvements in quality as the shows went along to provide some really good performances from our regulars and guests. So that was great.
Yeah. I can't disagree with any of you guys on that one. It has been a fabulous journey, a great learning journey, and an artistic journey as well. I think we're all very proud of it, and we should be proud of our regulars and everybody who's contributed. But now we're going to see maybe the flip side of that, because in the early days, which seems such a long time ago now, but it was in March, when we were experimenting and putting this show together. We've got a few clips of our early attempts, which we think are quite amusing, and we've also got some clips of our regulars when they were trying to record, and one or two mishaps, one or two outtakes. I think they call them bloopers. We hope you're amused by what follows now.
Okay. So we'll all do an animal noise. I'm going to do what am I going to do? A cow. Moo. Moo.
Oh, okay.
Moo.
Can I do a dog?
Continuous.
I'll take sheep.
Moo.
I'll go dog.
Moo. 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 What's Steve doing?
I'm looking along that. So what I'm not sure about is still, because those words are a bit too percussive, it's really still hard to tell whether it's switching or continuous. I think the only way you're going to find this out is to sing continuous notes and see whether you can hear it. So I think we actually need to do I'll try a harmony chord.
Go on then, do
building
it.
up.
Yeah, go on.
I'll start with my I think it's just the last one, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. When I was singing, I couldn't hear you two.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's hearing somebody else.
Phil up and discussed anyway. So.
I am recording this, and we've obviously driven Phil out of the room.
Yeah. We can hold up some sheet music for us to sing a bit of sight reading. Well,
okay, you're going.
We're wondering what you've brought into the room.
I've brought a Shruti in so I can do a.
Oh right, I'm with you. It looked like a file box, but.
Oh, nice.
You wanted a continuous noise.
Yeah.
Go on then, Phil, keep going.
Oh, right, okay.
Give us a continuous note.
Okay. So Zoom is taking the last speaker, I think, and giving them the floor.
Right.
Whoever speaks last gets it. It doesn't simultaneously mix all the channels.
Okay, here we go. The time passes over, more cheerful and gay, since we learnt a new act to drive sorrows away. All together now. Sorrows away, sorrows away,
since we've loved. Thanks, Dave. That was brilliant. And that's about it for this week.
Well, hang on. No. I've just thought while Dave was on, I was just thinking to myself, we've forgotten something. We haven't drawn the raffle.
Oh, true.
Yeah, we can. So, hang on. Right, here we go. I've got the tickets. Do you wanna pick one, Andy?
Okay, yeah, we'll do, Colin. Yeah. Oh, can't see any ticket. It's a different hat.
Oh, it is indeed a different hat. I'll tell you, this isn't going to work, is it?
So this week on the list, do you want to go first?
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
Am I going? That's all right.
First, then.
I'll go first. I got muddled up with my colour coding. Anyway, okay. And before we move over to our concert, just a reminder that next week we have Dave Collins. Is it Dave Collins? Yeah. Have I got the right name? Yeah, I've got Dave Collins. That's it. There may be a surprise guest. We don't know. We're pleased to welcome Steve and Penny Benford along with Colin. And Steve, you look as if you've just returned from a Star Wars set.
Yes, yeah, I am your father, Andy.
Oh.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I think maybe lose the mask so we can hear you. And where does it come from anyway?
Yeah, good idea. Yes, I didn't want to scare anyone. It was a gift that a student of mine, Chinese student, brought back from China recently. A very kind thought, anyway. So yes. Coming up after this, but thanks for joining us for our Vox Jam special, and we do hope that whether you're a regular or somebody just joining us for this evening, that you will want to buy a ticket if you haven't already done so for the festival tomorrow, which is 10 hours of pre-recorded and live streamed music. Fantastic event, which will raise money for Oxfam. So
If you want to buy a ticket for that, it costs £10, then we hope you'll do that via We Got Tickets. If you really can't, what are you up to, Andy?
My light ran out of battery.
Oh, is that what it was?
You just tried to distract me.
I see you suddenly went dark.
Everyone, it's Steve here, and this evening I've got Oban with me. And Oban, a little bird tells me that your wife's let you out the shed this week.
She has, Steve, and I've gone as far as, drum roll.
Okay, yeah.
The garden.
Oh, well, baby steps at first. What's it like in the garden then?
Yeah, it's all right. The acoustics are a bit different. The light's a bit different. It's not vastly different because it's only about probably a metre or two from the shed. So, yeah.
Yeah. Just that first step, though, on the journey out. And I gather, am I right thinking she's also been acting as a film crew for you?
Yeah, she has. So you'll probably see by the camera work, it's a bit wobbly. But, yeah, I've enjoyed having her film rather than doing it by myself. And it's just me on my own in the shed. Kate's kindly filmed it for me, and then it's a bit more dynamic. You've got someone there to share it with. So hopefully that comes across.
Yeah, well, I think wobbly camera work is all the rage, isn't it, as well? It's a kind of that handheld gritty look. It's what it's all about.
Hi there.
Hi.
Oh, bugger, I fucked that one up. Let me start again. Hello, everyone. This evening I'm speaking to Jim Dunn, who's going to perform a song called Snakeskin Boots. It's his own composition, and I found it very, very funny the first time I heard it, which was many years ago. And so as a result of that, I asked him to sing it at Ox Jam one time. But let me hand over to Jim. And I'm sorry, Jim, I've screwed this one up. Hello there. This evening I'm talking to Jim Dunn.
Hi.
Yeah.
Want to start again then?
Yeah, should we start again? Hello, everyone. Today I'm talking to Hugh Miller.
Hello, Anne.
Hi, Hugh. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So I think that in the coming show, you're going to be performing a song called Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. Would you like to tell me a bit about that, please?
Yeah, it's an American religious song hymn from the end of the 19th century. And although I'm completely non-religious, I really like those religious songs. There's great music there, so I can't resist singing them. And this is something that I heard back in the 70s from a sort of American folk collective that call themselves the Golden Ring, though actually lots of people have recorded it over the years. It's a very popular song. So it's something I like to do. I've chosen to do it as a multi-singer thing. And there are two reasons for that. One is that whenever I do this kind of stuff live, these songs have always got nice extra parts, sort of descanty bits in the chorus or call and response bits and so on. And I always think, I hope the audience gets solidly into the chorus so I can sing some of the other parts without putting them off. And of course, now I thought, well, I can be my own chorus. So I've put together a video with lots of me singing. The other reason for doing it is that the Clarion Choir want to do one of those multi-singer, everybody in little windows things, and they asked me to help with that. And I hadn't done that before, so I thought I need a bit of practice. So I've done this for practice for them.
Okay, that's really interesting. I enjoyed your piece at the last folk club where you talked about sort of harmonic singing in folk music, in English folk music, and certainly it seems to me that you can find examples of it in English folk music, but these, as you say, these sort of turn of the 19th, 20th century American hymns are really wonderful vehicles for it. And I think everybody's going to enjoy singing along to the chorus because it's a really lovely chorus and it's a really lovely song. So thanks very much for talking to me today, Hugh, and we'll look forward to hearing your song. Thanks. Bye.
Good. Okay. Bye-bye.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed knees with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting arms. Lean on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Lean on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how sweet to walk in the pilgrim's way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the light grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on the everlasting arms.
Hi. This song is called The Testimony of Patience Kershaw. It was actually a song written by a guy called Frank Higgins back in the 1960s, but taken from the original testimony of Patience Kershaw, who was a 15-year-old girl working down the mines. And her testimony was given to the Children's Employment Commission in 1842. And I think the words are still very potent today. It's good of you to ask me, sir, to tell you how I spend the day. Well, in a cold black tunnel, sir, I hurry course to earn my pay. The coals are full of coal, kind sir, I push them with my hands and head. It isn't ladylike, but sir, you've got to earn your daily bread. I push them with my hands and head, and so my hair gets worn away. You You see this baldy patch I've got, it shames me like I just can't say. A lady's hands are lily white, but mine are full of cuts and segs. And since I'm pushing all the time, I've great big muscles on my legs. I try to be respectable, but sir, the shame, God save my soul. I work with naked, sweating men who curse and swear and chew the coal. The sight, the smells, the sounds, kind sir, not even God could sense my shame. I say my prayers, but what's the use? Tomorrow will be just the same. Now sometimes, sir, I don't feel well. My stomach's sick, my head it aches. I've got to hurry best I can. My knees feel weak, my back near breaks. And then I'm slow and then I'm scared. These naked men will batter me. They can't be blamed, for if I'm slow, their families will starve, you see. They laugh at me, and sir, the mirror tells me why. Pale and dirty, can't look nice. It doesn't matter how I try. Great big muscles on my legs, a baldy patch upon my head. Lady, sir, oh no, not me. I should have been a boy instead. I praise your good intentions, sir. I love your kind and gentle heart. But now it's 1842, and you and me were miles apart. 100 years and more will pass before we're walking side by side. But please accept my grateful thanks. God bless you, sir, at least you tried.
It would be nice to do an introduction for your song. I thought we might do the two men standing together, like not the 9 o'clock news. What was it called?
Oh,
Alas Smith and Jones.
Alas Smith and Jones, yeah.
Well, it could be Alas Steve and Joe.
Alas Steve and Joe, that.
And I had long hair last week when we recorded it.
Oh,
and I got a haircut this morning, at long last. Do you think they'll notice?
I've got a wig.
Excellent. So, what's this song then that you're going to do?
You'll Never Walk Alone.
No, it was Old Gotham. Not Old Gotham City. What was it called? Old Durham City. No, not Old Durham City.
I've got to leave Old Durham Town. That's the one.
Oh, we were close.
Yes.
By Valdunican, of course.
No, I think you'll find that it's Roger Whittaker.
Right. And why did you choose that?
Because I can sing it.
Enough said. On with the music.
Well,
I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town, and the leaving's gonna get me down. Back in 1944, I saw Daddy walking out the door. Mama told me he was going to war. He was leaving me. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town, and the leaving's gonna get me down. As a boy I spent my time sitting on the banks of the River Tyne, watching those ships going down the line. They were leaving me. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town, and the leaving's gonna get me down. Last month Mama passed away. Goodbye, son, is all she'd say. There's no cause for me to stay, so I'm leaving free. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town, and the leaving's gonna get me. The leaving's gonna get me. The leaving's gonna get me down. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Hello again, and it's a tremendous pleasure to welcome Dave Mason from Cincinnati, our first real American who's actually living in America on the show.
That's right. It's great. It's great to be talking to you, Dave. Although I think we're about 5 hours apart,
Yep.
so it's getting on for 9:30 in the evening for us, and I think about 4:30 for you.
4:30 for me.
That's right. But anyway, how come we are having this conversation at all? You've sent us a video, and you're going to appear on the Folk Beeston show. What, if any, is the connection?
Well, the connection, I think, is just looking for virtual open mics. I was doing a search on Facebook and came across yourselves and sent an email to Andy, and here we are.
And I think Beeston has another connection in your mind, doesn't it? Do you know something else about Beeston?
Well, yeah, pipe bands. Yeah, believe it or not, I've played in pipe bands all my life, and we used to come up to Beeston, I'm sure, for competition as well. So
yeah, tremendous. And so, how did you begin your musical journey? Because you've written quite a large number of songs, and
I was quite a prolific writer when I was in my 20s, I guess. I've met a guy when I was doing my national service in South Africa. I was in the Air Force, and there was a guy that was in a camp with me, and he had a guitar, and he could play Jim Croce, and he could play John Denver and whatever. And I just thought, this is great, and I remember I went out and bought a cheap guitar from the army shop, and my fingers were bleeding. It was really that bad. It was, but I was determined I was going to learn. So there we go.
Yeah.
Is that when had you already played the pipes by then?
I'd already played. I started playing pipes when I was about 12. Yeah, in school. Yeah.
So you've had quite a musical background then, and Yeah.
I think so. My dad was very musical, although he didn't have any musical training. He used to play the banjo, and he used to sing a lot of Geordie songs because I was born in Newcastle upon Tyne. So.
Yeah. And you spent some time in South Africa as well.
Yep, my parents moved us there when I was 7, and I left when I was 35. So.
Oh gosh. So have any of those sort of national sort of rhythms, the African rhythms, got into your blood?
I don't think so. I don't find a being drawn towards African rhythms. I've living in Africa. I try to promote my music, but in South Africa we were always getting Cat Stevens and the big acts. Paul Simon was big there. All these people were big, and they didn't want another person singing similar type of music. And I thought of trying at one stage. I thought, well, let me see if I can get into some sort of African music, but I don't know. If you write music, it's got to be who you are. You can't. It's very hard to be a kind of just write something for the sake of making money or something or becoming famous. So I never got any African rhythms into my music. No.
Never mind. Tell us a little bit about the song we're going to hear, Dave.
Okay, the song that we're going to hear is called "The Lookout Road." We were living in Ireland. My wife works for a multinational company, so we've been, I think, 19 transfers around the world. We've been all over the place. And we were living in County Tipperary, just on the border of Clare. And there were 2 ways Michelle could get to work. The first one, she could drive back to the main motorway, which was the N7. That's the road between Dublin and Limerick, and then drive to Nina, where we worked. Or there was what they called the back road, and the back road was also known as the Lookout Road. And the reason why is it followed Loch Derg and the Shannon River, and at one point about 2 miles outside of our village there was a lookout, and so they called it the Lookout Road. And I was singing at folk clubs around Ireland when we lived there, and I wanted to write a song that would, because I knew we would be leaving, I wanted to write a song that would evoke strong memories of Ireland, and so that's what it's all about. So.
And a great song it is too. We're really looking forward to it, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
It's been a great pleasure, Dave, and I believe you're heading back to Europe fairly soon, so it'll be lovely to see you in Beeston.
Yes, I would love to come, and we'll be moving back probably next summer once my daughter's finished school here, and then we'll see you then.
Well, do keep in touch.
I shall do.
Okay,
excellent.
Thanks, then, Dave.
Thank
you very much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. This is a song I wrote called "The Lookout Road." There's a road they call the Lookout Road. It runs not far from here, in the emerald Shannon Valley, between the trees and the open air, twisting like a living thing with views that make you stare. And though it runs in Tipperary, you can see across to Clare. So raise your voices, sing along, let hearts rejoice to sing this song. You're nothing but a winding road that runs from Killaloe to Nina. And though I've travelled many roads, you're like no other road I've seen. As I watch your beauty pass me by, you take my breath away. You'll live on in my memory till my dying day. From Ballina past Towntina on the path of the Loch Derg way, there is peaceful Gary Kennedy. What a place to end your day. By Castle Loch and through Port Row and on to Youghal Bay. It's no wonder people see you, and it's here they want to stay. So raise your voices, sing along, let hearts rejoice to sing this song. You're nothing but a winding road that runs from Killaloe to Nina. And though I've travelled many roads, you're like no other road I've seen. As I watch your beauty pass me by, you take my breath away. You will live on in my memory till my dying day. One day I am going to leave this place, I will leave you all behind, maybe journey to another land, God knows what I will find. But as my life goes on around me, I will take time to unwind. I will travel on that lookout road, and though it's only in my mind, I will hear the voices sing along as hearts rejoice to sing this song. You're nothing but a winding road that runs from Killaloe to Nina, and though I've traveled many roads, you're like no other road I've seen. As I watch your beauty pass me by, you take my breath away. You will live on in my memory till my dying day. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Hello everybody, and it's great to have in the studio with us Phil Langran as well as Colin. And
hi Phil.
It's particularly good because Phil joined us on the very first one of our shows, and the band did a set, and here we are on the last one of the series, and it'd be good. What's happened in between, Phil? Anything?
What has happened in between? I've been writing a lot. I haven't been mucking around too much with videos, but I've been writing a lot and doing some bits of writing with people at a distance, which I've been doing for some years. But this year, it's instead of a luxury, it's become absolutely essential. So lots of co-writing.
Yeah, well, I think the song we're going to hear tonight is the product of one of those collaborations. Do you want to tell us about that and a little bit about the song, which I think is called Longshore Drift, isn't it?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Some years back, I went to a series of songwriting workshops up in Scotland, and a lot of the people that I'm working with now as co-writers, I met on those occasions. One of them, Jamie McRae from North Uist in the Hebrides, got on very well with him, and we wrote a song together. And then early last year, 2019, he sent me a tune. He said, "What do you think of this?" And I sent him some lyrics and said, "What do you think of these?" And the lyrics were on the subject of longshore drift, which is a geological phenomenon, perhaps. As Jamie works very closely with the sea, he liked the idea. He liked the idea of longshore drift as a metaphor. In actual fact, it's a way of describing wave action on a coastline and shifting the sand, the gravel, the shingle, the clay along, periodically blocking up harbours, and so it's an image of perpetual change, which is a condition we all live with. So that's the sort of gist of the song. It connects very closely to my experience because for quite some time I lived on the south coast at a place called New Haven. New Haven being a new harbour from some few hundred years ago, when the next harbour along got clogged as a result of longshore drift. So that's probably enough to give you an idea, I hope.
Okay.
a lecture.
I'm interested, Phil, in the actual process of working with somebody. I mean, I can just about understand how you could sit next to each other and go, well, how does this fit to that, and so on. Have you used a Zoom or Skype, or have you just literally bounce things backwards and forwards?
We hadn't even thought of using Zoom or Skype at the time. Yeah, this is way back in 2017 that I started doing this. Seems like a lifetime ago. So basically, what we've done is we've sent each other tunes on an MP3 or a set of lyrics, and the other person has fitted a tune to the lyrics or written some lyrics to go with the tune. So I've been doing that with quite a few people. Significantly with Nick Horn of Plum Hall fame. We've swapped quite a lot of ideas over the last few years. And hopefully one day, one or two of those will emerge. But Michelle and Nick, they're such enthusiastic songwriters that I haven't managed to wedge one of mine in yet.
Anyway, we look forward to more creative productions in the future, and certainly the next one, I'm sure, is going to be brilliant. Should we have a listen to it?
Yes. Let's.
Okay. Thanks very much, Phil.
Can I just credit Jamie again?
Yeah.
And the whole of the Phil Langran band, Steve, Alistair, Mark, and Frank, who have made this collaboration so much more possible.
Great.
That's great, Phil. Let's hear it.
Okay, thanks very much.
Gift, meter and rhyme, longshore drift, the moon drawn tide, the dawning lift, held by light in the morning shift, stars collide, futures shift, cast aside from the bounding line, blown away from cause and thrift, salt and spray and longshore drift, all storms subside, mother of mine, heading home in this time and time. Stars collide, futures shift, cast adrift from the bounding line.
play with time, a heedless gift, meter and rhyme, a long short river.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's the end of Folk Beeston Show 21 and the end of this little series, and not quite the end of an era, maybe, but and of course it's all going to be up there forever. Scary.
Yeah.
On the internet. So anytime you want to go and have a look and a reminisce, please go to our YouTube channel, which is simply YouTube Folk Beeston, and you'll find it. But that's it for now. We'll be back in the autumn, but we've got a few thank yous to make.
Yeah, can I start off by thanking, first of all, the guests who have performed tonight. That is Dave Collins, Dave Mason, and the Phil Langran Band.
And, of course, all our guests over the many, many weeks. Lots of them, too numerous to mention, but we've really appreciated some of the people who've come in and have done a song for us and a nice chat, and it's enlightened us and it's entertained us, so it's been absolutely great. But also regulars. All our regulars have really done us proud, haven't they? Many of them performing, 3 or 4 songs over the weeks, sort of rotating round and getting ever more creative, and lots of collaborations between people and so on. Been great.
Yeah, it's been one of the delights of the show, really, is that community sense that we built up through performances, through host chat.
Yeah, it's what folk clubs are all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
And I think we've, although it's us doing it, I think we've got to say thank you to each of us for the contributions we've made. Andy, you've been solid behind all this, getting it all organised. Mick's done. He's quiet today. He's kind of the silent partner. But he gets on and does a load of the post-production work on the videos that you guys send in and put it all together. Yeah. So well done to you, and well done to Steve, who's been our IT support and consultant, but is of course a fab musician as well. So he's been able to shed a lot of light for the rest of us on how things are going over and what we could do differently or better or whatever. So his contribution has been greatly appreciated as well.
Okay, and we're going to finish off this show with brief contributions, a sort of rolling clip of all our regulars. So enjoy, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
And we mustn't forget almost the most important people. I don't know if they are the most important, but we can sing, we can put the videos together, and we can broadcast them. But if nobody was watching, it would be utterly, utterly pointless. So a big, big thank you to our audience. Some of you from miles and miles away. Thanks for tuning in. Some of you very, very regular. It's lovely. I noticed Henry, I don't know if you're there tonight, Henry, but last week we did notice you weren't there, and we've had a message from him saying he caught up on YouTube on Saturday. So that was lovely to hear. And of course, Henry's up in Scotland as one or two of our regular members.
Ursula, my friend from the Outer Hebrides.
And is it Joan? Helen's mum?
Yeah, Helen's mum.
And my former colleague John Holmes out there in the wilds of Belper. So Duffield, in fact. I mean, loads of you out there.
Yeah.
Thanks ever so much for joining us regularly, and of course for your feedback, which has kept us going and helped us when you've made some constructive criticism. But mainly it's just been very, very supportive. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
There's Cheddar and Cheshire and Lancashire too. Leicester's bright orange and Stilton is blue. It waxes quite lyrical, what can we do but sing all the hard cheese of old England? in old England very hard cheese.
The cuckoo is a pretty bird, she singeth as she flies.
And there they were, so bold and bright in that shoe shop that December. Well, he went inside and he tried them on. Oh boy, a perfect fit. I'd love to take them home with me, but here's the awkward bit.
A gentleman was passing by, he asked for a drink as he was dry at the well below the valley. Oh, green grow the lilies, oh, right among the rushes, oh.
Well, my bags are packed, I'm ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. Hate to wake you up to say goodbye.
How famous farmers you should hear. He had 2 sons and 1 daughter dear. The servant man she much admired, none in the world she loved so dear. I met my love at Woolwich Pier, beneath a big crane standing, and oh, the love I felt for her, it passed all understanding.
There was one in the gang who had scale extric, and because of that he thought he was better than you. Every day after school you'd go round there to play it, hoping to compete for some kind of championship.
At the age of 19 I was young, I was keen, and I had just one burning ambition, to be a folk singer, a dope-smoking swinger, sing songs that were steeped in tradition.
So to church they went the very next day, and were married by asking, as I've heard say. And now this girl, she is his wife, he'll prove her comfort. In the early morning rain, with a dauber in my hand, and an aching in my heart, and my pockets full of sand.
Oh, the water is wide, and I can't get over, and neither have I the wings to fly.
She turns up late, she turns up cold, she's turning old behind the paint.
I don't know if you can see the changes that have come over me in these past few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. So
My young love said to me, my mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind.
With your muddy brown eyes and your lover's disguise, you waited for me. I saw you there, you saw me.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly.
Well, it was the time I remember so well. The night they drove old Dixie down.
From the hag and hungry goblin that unto rags would rend you, the spirit that stands by the naked man in the book of moons defend you.
I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town. I've gotta leave old Durham town, and the leaving's gonna get me down.
We've cleared off the tables, left over safe, washed the dishes and put them away. I've told you a story, tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice, and there's a cold lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. Miss Murray was laid to rest. A red rose lay by her breast. The pipers that rang clear. So strange is man, his smile breaks and lands.
Please lock me away and don't allow the day here inside where I hide with my loneliness.
I'm taking it slow. Later, percolator.
I love coffee, I love tea, I love the jabba jabba and it loves me. Coffee and tea, the jabba jabba and me. A cup, boy. I love coffee, I love tea, I love the jabba jabba and it loves me. Coffee and tea, the jabba jabba and me. A cup.